Craig and Hannah, so today we're going to talk about offshore investing, which is always a hot topic, especially in the current economic climate in South Africa. Craig, what are the different options that apply if a client wants to invest offshore?
It's quite complex in that there's a lot to consider. Broadly speaking, you've got two ways of doing it. The one is you have a domiciled abroad investment. The other is that you actually have a local investment, but in the form of an asset swap, meaning that you own offshore assets, but the actual investment is domiciled locally. What would be the advantages and disadvantages of the two routes? There are numerous ones, numerous considerations. We need to look at, for example, whether you're going to be contributing on a monthly basis, whether you're going to be doing lump sum contributions, as an example. We'd need to look at, well, when would you need the cash? How would you be drawing it out? Because obviously the local platform would have some advantages. Disadvantages, of course, being factors like capital gains tax calculations, because those CGT calculations, if you are invested in hard currency, because the local currency would depreciate over time against the hard currency, it can result in a higher capital gains tax consequence, which really may not be an issue depending on the individual investor's tax rate. Then you also need to look at, well, how is that investment going to be housed? It could just be in what we know in this country as a unit trust platform, or it could be housed in an endowment. Endowments can be favorable from a tax perspective, but only if you are being taxed at a higher rate. Then one needs to contemplate, well, is my higher rate of taxation going to incur for the duration of this investment, or is it just now while I'm still employed? What will happen when I retire? So there are a lot of considerations, and you need to go through all of the pros and cons quite carefully before making your ultimate decision on this.
Craig, so then if a client has a local will in SA, does this include their offshore assets?
It can incorporate all the offshore assets, depending on the nature of those assets. So obviously where you have fixed property, for example, it would be preferable to have an offshore will.
I think, when it comes to investing offshore, there's obviously a lot of complexities. There's tax issues, there's foreign jurisdictions, there's the type of assets that you're holding offshore, there's limits on how much South Africans can take offshore. There's also the issue of how much exposure South Africans already have in their current investments. So I think it needs to be a strategic approach to offshore investing, not just a knee-jerk approach to saying things are not looking good here in South Africa, let me take my money offshore.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.